Sorry, guys. I was trying to improve the lighting in here. So, and it still sucks a little bit. This might be better. Well, anyways, I wanted to do a part two for the Capricorn rising video that I did um, per you guys' request for those of you who are Capricorn or Capricorn rising. And there were a few things that I didn't mention in the other video that are very noteworthy things to consider if you're a Capricorn rising. So, the first thing I wanted to make mention of is nervous energy or nervous tension. So, for some of you who are Capricorn rising, you may struggle or have instances where you feel very jittery, nervous, anxious, and even restless. And a lot of that nervous energy and nervous tension is obviously associated with your ruling planet, Saturn, and just that need to not only achieve, accomplish, reach your goals, things you may worry about pertaining to your goals can make you restless. If you have something that you've been working toward and you just have a bit of anxiety about these things coming to fulfillment, that obviously can make any person feel a bit uneasy. So that's one thing. But to just have like a normal day, but you feel a bit uneasy or you could feel anxious or anxiety or nervousness, it has a lot to do with your nervous system. So you have to make sure that you are taking care of your nervous system. Exercises and practices and foods can contribute to your sense of well being and your sense of balance. So for me personally, I'm not as into yoga and things like that as I once was. I sometimes get in the mood and I'll turn on a video and I'll do some yoga or things like that. But what I do most often, um, and especially because I have children, is I will get up extra early when the house is still quiet and everyone's still asleep and I have quiet time and alone time. And I'll do something similar to Tai Chi. I'll do exercises that help me to breathe and calm my nervous system and just stay grounded to just calm my nervous system more or less. I try not to focus on, goals or anything that's going to make me feel anxious. I use that time to also, pray out loud. I'll walk through my house because you're more susceptible to issues to do with your nervous system and things with your joints and your bones more so than other signs. So it's very important if you are a Capricorn ascendant that you consider, or even Capricorn, that you just consider how you're taking care of yourself because you can get ahead of yourself in trying to achieve things and you will put your health on the back burner. Or you can overexert yourself, work, put too much energy, too much effort, too much, you can exhaust your energy reserve in your pursuits. So that was something I didn't mention and I wanted to make mention of. Another thing for Capricorn rising is depression and anxiety. I probably mentioned this very briefly in the other video about you can become a bit depressed if you're not seeing your goals manifest as quickly as you'd hoped. But the depression and the anxiety can be very strong in the sense that it could really make you feel like kind of giving up. And it's typically a momentary thing. Like you just go through a wave every now and then where you feel like giving up on your goals or you feel as if they're too unattainable. And we will talk about the unrealistic goals that some of you may set for yourselves because Capricorn is so goal oriented that depending on certain aspects you have in your natal chart, like if you have Sun opposite Jupiter, where you can tend to, over what is it when people say you can over promise or you can over like say you're going to do more than you're actually able to do, that you're actually able to fulfill, so you can overcommit, or just over promise and do certain things and you put yourself in a predicament or a situation that can be very stressful for you. So the depression and the anxiety that can come with this placement, it needs to be balanced, obviously, with more wholesome activities, more light, interactions with people, so you're not, if you have people around you who could be negative or who really push you to do something or to fulfill something or meet some goal, you're already hard on yourself as it is. So you have to make sure the people around you aren't adding even more stress and pressure and tensions to your life, because they may know that you're driven and they may think that you feed off of, them always, pushing you and telling you, you need to do this and you can get it done and you can do it, you can do it. It's great to have reinforcements and encouragement, but realistically, you're already hard on yourself. So make sure that is actually what's being given is encouragement and not criticism, because you're very self-critical as well. I don't even think I mentioned that in the previous video, that you can be very, very self-critical about your achievements, or lack thereof, or how you're spending your time. So if you feel like time is being wasted in some way or it's out of your control, like the time that's being wasted is not in your control, you're having to commit to some obligation that's someone else's responsibility, or be somewhere that you don't really want to be, this can really make you feel that much more stressed, and it can put that much more anxiety on you. So you have to learn to take it easy and not to be so hard and so self-critical about yourself, because the depression that comes with Capricorn, that Capricorn energy, is that you also will put on this mask that everything's okay. Not unlike Scorpios who do this as well, that you try to hide or mask your emotions. But for you, Capricorn rising, it's not even necessarily that you're trying to hide it. It's just you just almost don't even know how to give a cry for help at times. You don't always know how to ask for help. You don't always know how to display your vulnerabilities and your weakness. And the problem with that is, the depression can be there, but people won't even know about it. So you have to make sure you're being, sensible and how you communicate your needs. If you are depressed, if you are stressed, if you have some goal that, for you, maybe feels a bit unattainable, but you can't let it go, you have to find the right community of people, the right family, the right support, just to help you along the way, whether they're helping you financially, or they're there to support you emotionally, or they're there to support you, um, just in conversation or spiritually, if you have someone, because many of you Capricorn risings, you may resonate with older people. I know I do. I like talking to older people. I like talking to old people. So I've been staying here at my mom's home. I had to move out of my house abruptly, so I've been staying here with my mother, and she lives in a building where there's a lot of seniors, and they will just stop me a lot of times, which, old folks tend to do that. They like to talk. So they'll stop me and I will absolutely engage in a conversation with them and enjoy it. I like the energy I get from older people, elders. So you may find some benefit in that, and having a good, if it's not a mentor of some sort, but just older people, like that energy is healing for you. Even if you go to Hardee's and just sit in Hardee's in the morning and talk to like an old person, like, I know that sounds random and stupid, but they're always there. But you may actually find that it's a good way to like chill a little bit, Capricorn, because a lot of older people, it's like they see life from a different perspective, obviously, and they can kind of, help you not to take things so seriously or to take life so seriously. And you talk to them and you're just like, oh, okay, I get it. So that may be useful for some of you. I mentioned the unrealistic goals, which comes with the Capricorn rising sometimes, depending on placements that many of you have. So you might want to check your natal chart so that you're not constantly setting yourself up for failure. Not that you want to fail, you'll work hard at something to avoid failing. But in some cases, you can tend to overpromise and over engage in your goals and your pursuits, and in which case your goals may actually just literally be something that is just not attainable at the moment, and that can cause you to really withdraw and to feel a bit depressed. So I would take that into consideration. What goals do I have? And do I have the means to execute my goals? Do I have the resources to execute my goals? It doesn't have to be career wise. This could even be in terms of relationships. If you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm 32 and I want to be married and have a child this time next year, and I want to have," sometimes we can set up goals for ourselves that can just be a bit difficult to attain, and in essence, we can we can withdraw from people or withdraw altogether from pursuing goals if we've experienced some setbacks or some limitations. So it's not really in your nature to give up altogether, but it could be a long stream of time that can pass before you feel the momentum and the courage to get back up and try again, and get back up and pursue something again. So I know, especially in matters of the heart, Capricorns, if you're let down in love and you feel like it's one of those things that you can't control another person, like relationships and love, it's one of those things that, unlike business and career goals, where you can strategize and maneuver and do what you have to do to build and move up, with relationships, it's not quite like that. You can't just move people out the way and strategize and manipulate your way to the top in a relationship. It actually is a mutual, reciprocated relationship, and you have to put in the work and the effort in your relationship. And if the relationship doesn't work out, you may really take that personally. You may really feel like you failed at it, and you may withdraw altogether from pursuing relationships and say, you know what, I'm just going to stick with career. I'm just going to stick with business. I'll please myself. I'll entertain myself. I don't need a woman. I don't need a man. So just avoid having that kind of critical perspective on life and on love, because Saturn is obviously trying to teach us lessons, and our pride can get in the way. Our ego can get in the way of those really beneficial lessons in life, and we can try our hardest to try to weave in and out of life situations because we want to avoid feeling like we failed. So that's not going to work. We obviously have to encounter certain things head on, and that's the case with relationships. We're here to be taught lessons in love. So the unrealistic goals, if this is something that you struggle with, or you feel that you're always limited or blocked in some way, um, I mentioned in the other video that Saturn does do that. It can block us. It can make us feel limited, confined, and restricted. So this can make us feel as if our goals are unattainable, even if they're not. So it's kind of twofold. You just have to assess, what it is you're doing and what you're pursuing, because Saturn will almost trick us in a way to thinking we're not meant to have something. And you're like, yo, I've been working at this. I've been working at this relationship. I've been working at this career. I've been working at getting my finances on track, but something always comes up. Like, am I just not supposed to have it? No, that's not necessarily the case. It's again about endurance for you, Capricorn rising. So this is what gives you your strength and your fortitude to get through a thing, is having to get through those blocks. So for people who've had things handed to them in life, they could be 45 and some situation comes up and they fold and they don't know what the hell to do. But for you, you've already met a few blocks and limitations and restrictions, and you've learned to get through those things, or you've learned to still keep pushing until the doors open. It's like asking your father for something, like some money or something, and he wants to know, oh, what are you using the money for? And where's it going to go? And how are you going to spend it? And are you making sure this? And you need to invest it a little bit here. And you're getting all these instructions from Saturn, and you kind of don't want to hear that. You're kind of like, Dad, just give me the money so I can go do what I want to do. But Saturn's like, no, no, I'm going to tell you how this is all going to go down. So it's just about being sensible and strategizing and how you're approaching your goals in life. So I talked about the nervous energy and the practices that you need to do with that, because this is a big deal. That's that many people who have this nervous energy and anxiety I talked about will turn to, I don't want to say like alcohol and other abuses as if that's a common thing for Capricorn, because most of you are, for the most part, you try to be responsible, and you try to be cautious about, the certain lifestyle you have. But drinking can be something that you do under wraps in a lot of ways, because you seem responsible and you seem like you have everything under control. But if you have these depression and anxiety and nervous tension, then you may pick up some habit, and it's like an in the closet kind of habit. Like your family or your coworkers or people may not even know that you have this coping mechanism that you have, whatever that coping mechanism may be for you. It could be anything from masturbation to alcohol consumption to, maybe you troll on the internet when nobody's around. I don't know. Everybody has their thing. But that's just something to consider because people tend to deal with their inner struggles in their own unique way, and it's no different for Capricorn. As responsible as you may look to the outside world, you may still pick up some things that could be a bit detrimental to your health. So again, pick up some practices that are good for you, whether that is, online forums or, um, but not necessarily online forums, specifically physical practices that are good for you. As I mentioned, the Tai Chi, the yoga, the Pilates, something like that. Another thing to consider about Capricorn rising, I'm sorry, y'all know I have children and they're being really loud. Chris, did something break? Oh, I thought something broke. Maybe I'm hearing things. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Excuse me, y'all. What was I saying? Oh, partnerships. I touched on a little bit of this in partnerships in the other video, but I definitely want to reiterate that if you don't if you don't value your true partnerships and true relationships that you have right now, even if you feel like for me, for example, I have a friend who isn't necessarily career driven. They're not the most motivated person, but when they talk to me, it helps me to balance my energy and how I can be so hard and forward and fast moving and just, task and working. So when I talk to this friend, they help balance my energy. And I realized that this is a good relationship, that I shouldn't cut this person off or exit this relationship because they're not, on some high level of achievement. So you may have relationships with people, and it's important that you assess your relationships to see how the partnership is intended to help you, whether that is a spiritual help, that person um, strengthens you in some way, or it is a business relationship or partnership where they're giving you advice and they're supporting you and they're encouraging you, or whatever, a love relationship. So assess your partnerships, because Capricorn rising, you can tend to downplay other people in your life because you're so focused on yourself and what you want to do and what you want to achieve, that you can kind of cast relationships aside, maybe prematurely. And that could be very, obviously, it's not good because people, who are sent to us through our magnetism, we attract relationships, we attract people into our lives. It's usually for a reason, so what lesson we get out of our relationship is intended to help us grow. But when you cast people aside prematurely because you don't necessarily see the benefit of that partnership at the time, friendship, lover, whatever it is, you may not see the benefit at that time, but just give things time to grow. Don't be too hasty and just saying, oh, I don't really need this relationship. So that was something I wanted to share with you guys. And I'm probably leaving something out. But per that Capricorn part two video, I did want to put that little bit of information out there and encourage you guys to continue to be spiritually, in tune with who you are, and not to get too focused on the outside world and being financially secure and materially secure, because having material uh, having material possessions and being financially secure is a good thing, but at the end of the day, you really are here to have more of a mentoring and counseling and, um, just a more advanced spirit to offer the world, like mature spirit to offer the world, because Saturn is that. It's like this very paternal, and doesn't even necessarily have to be paternal. It could be maternal. There's just sort of mature spirit that comes with you. And that's really the gift that you can provide people when you talk to people and you open up and you share who you really are, and you don't just live with this mask of, I'm here to get things done, and this is who I am, this is what I do. So open up more to the spiritual part of you that is, profoundly deep and that has a lot to share. So I'm going to cut the video off here. If you guys have, I don't even know how to read. This is my first time doing live. My son was like, "You should try it." So hi to you guys who were tuned in, and thank you for tuning into my live stream. I'm going to do more live streams. But yeah, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will be sharing future astrology videos as I make my way down my checklist of content to share. So I appreciate you guys again, and until next time, peace.